Hey there, boys and girls of the YouTube world. Today, the Duff Dog and I are going to see if we can't get this 1926, that's right, this car is 99 years old. 1926 Model T Ford Touring running for the first time, and I have no idea how many years. Ooh, it wanted to fire off. Ooh, 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 ooh. Not only was it the cafeteria, it was also the restroom. Oh. Ah! Ah! Oh, it'll make you jump. This is fun. I've found my new calling. Yeah. That's how you know if you're a good welder, if you can fill a fat gap with JB Weld. So the story on this thing is our pal P-Mod up in Minot, North Dakota reached out to us, and there's an online estate sale going on, so I threw in a super low bid on this thing because I didn't really want it. Long story short, for just a hair over $1,000, I got this nearly complete 99-year-old Ford. He went and picked the thing up for it, stored it at his place. We got her loaded up there in Minot, and now we got it home. So let's see if we can get this thing all running. We don't know anything about it other than it's old, and it's a Ford, and it's loose. The only reason we know it's loose is because when we were rolling it off the trailer, we don't know how to shift this thing because there's no shifter, and the engine was turning over. So let's get all the stuff out of it first and go from there. This thing is super complete. The top bows are in there. I think there's a spare tire that's supposed to be back here. Well, maybe not. Anyway, it's got one brake light. The fenders are pretty straight. It's super solid. Yeah, but it's got a bunch of stuff inside. It's coming with a gas tank, so I'm guessing it needs that. Could use some seat work. We got some extra wood wheels. I do believe 26/7 were the only years that had steel wheels. Some of these hold air, some of them not so much. All right, let's get these Miller lights out of here, made in the USA, and see what other kind of goodies we can find. May have picked up a few bugs on the ride home. Probably the fastest this car's ever been, getting towed behind the old tow pig coming. Check these purple headlights out. Sweet! Got your manufacturer license plates on it. This thing is a going machine, I'm sure. If anybody wants to come pick up some wooden Model T wheels, hit us up, mortskerepair@gmail.com. We'll give you a sweet deal on them. Don't want to ship them though. We got ourselves another 1926 license plate. It's not a match to the front. Maybe they only had singles back then. I think they had pairs. And a 1941. That's kind of a rare one, seeing how that was the start of World War II. Oh, other goodies. Hey, there's that spare tire I was talking about. We might need that. Park brake. Headlight crossbar, maybe? Got a calendar? 1985, January. Year and month I was born. Cabinet doors, don't need those. Some spare buzz boxes, as Grandpa called them, the old coil boxes, the wooden coils for Model Ts. Hey, what's this? Oh, no way, is that his bidder number from when he bought this thing? Oh no. Purchase 217 of 2003. Model T coils. Must have been the only thing he bought. Bidder 117. That's 217. February 17, 2003. So these things have been waiting 22 and a half years for us to do something. This gentleman that had this estate, it was packed. They said they took like 17 box trucks out of this place. Stacked. Every room organized. But look at this. Here's the sale bill for that sale. Auction. Monday, February 17, 2003. Location Highway 2 and 52 bypass. Parts inventory, parts equipment, shop tools. Huh. Owner, Puppy Dog Properties LLC. Ford Microfiche, Ford service manuals. Wish I'd have been at that one. Being on a Monday, I bet stuff went cheap. Philco metal parts cabinet, Atlas metal parts cabinet, all the good stuff. Parts are for mid-80s and older. Dang. Duff, you wanna grab the side of this top? No, you're chasing birds? Okay. Oh my goodness. There's some heavy parts in this box. I need that round disc of wood someday.
No way. No way.
Oh yeah. Hubcaps, our favorite. How's the old gas tank look? Maybe this is the old one and they got the new one in there already. Where's my pen light? Get your pen light at mortske.com. Get lit with Mortske Repair. Wow, that looks really good other than the leaves. Where's that cardboard? Oh, didn't come with the driving suit. Jack stand. Let me show you what we found in this bad boy. So we got 4 wooden wheels. I believe these are from an earlier car. These would be fronts with your bearings and your hubcap, and the rears have the spline right there, or the keyway for being a drive wheel. And then you would have a steel rim, which would have your rubber tire on it, and that would snap over the wooden wheel. And we got 4 of them rims as well. We got 4 of these hubcaps. I think those are like 71-ish Chevrolet 14-inch full-size car, and then roughly about the same vintage Ford full-size hubcap, a full set of them. Hit us up if you want to own some of these hubcaps. We're not hanging on to them. mortskerepair@gmail.com if you really need a set of these things. They're actually pretty dang nice. Fords are a 15-inch. Spare tire mounts that we need for this car, a fuel tank, which I'm guessing we need for this car. We got ourselves the Accurate Profile can tapper, 41 license plate of 26. The Northwest Central States Numismatic Association. We got Larry Porter and Larry Anderson. We offer to the bearer the finest in pneumastatics, whatever those are. A 1985 Cloth World calendar. The buzz boxes. Look at this. It's even the receipt from the $40 that he paid in cash for these coils in 2003. So I'm sure they're worth way more now. Probably not. A starter, we hope we don't have to use. The later cars actually had electric start. The earlier cars did not. A generator, a horn, bearings, some miscellaneous stuff, distributor cap, and some odds and ends tools. I think we call this a monkey wrench? I don't know. And a jack. All kinds of goodies. Of course, we got the touring top. The Model A's, they called it a phaeton. T's, they called it a touring. Why? I don't know. Maybe somebody down below will let us know. And that spare Miller tire and steel wheel that will go on the back of the car, if we can get that spare tire mount on there. We got to make this thing roll, so I did a little research on the internet. You got 3 pedals on the floor, no gear shift lever. You got the one on the right is the brake, I guess. The one in the middle is reverse, and the one on the left is the clutch. And then you got this guy, which is, that's park. Straight up and down is low. And all the way ahead is high range, so you got a 2-speed. And then you got to have some silly combination of that. So you got the clutch halfway in, and then push that for reverse. So I guess you got to hold it for reverse, and then, like I said, the brakes on the right. It's silly. And then you got your timing, advance. That's retard, and that's full advance. And then this is your only gas over here. No foot pedal for the gas. But check this out. See that lever down there? And watch the clutch. So as I pull the park brake back, it applies the clutch. It rides up on that little shoe down there. How neat is that?
That's pretty neat.
So we got a little horn button up here too. Got our choke over here. And here's our ignition. So we got battery, on, off, on, and magneto. So hopefully that works. I'm guessing it doesn't, seems how the way it's loose. The problem is, when you apply the park brake to get the clutch in, then it shouldn't want to roll because the park brake is applied. So the only way to get it to roll is to have somebody hold the clutch and somebody to push. Unfortunately, I don't have anybody to push. I got the Duff, and he's out hunting birds or mice or something. But before I can even attempt to make it roll, we gotta pump some air into this tire. Hopefully it holds air. I'm gonna stand a long ways away while it does it. Let's start out with old 10 PSIs. It's a Firestone gum dipped. I'm sure it's fine. I'll be back here hiding behind the camera. Well, that looks pretty good. Let's go for 15. All right, 15's good enough. Now, can I get it to roll by myself? Hey, we don't need a stinking park brake. So like I said, we already knew it was loose, but I'll show you. It wanted to fire off. Just kidding. Now since Duff isn't around, let me get the hood open for you. Let's see if we can just get the whole hood off there and out of the way for access. Easy access, just the way we like them. There we go. Let me give you a quick tour of this Model T engine bay that I know a whole lot about. So here's our coil box. Ow! That's a good snap. Let's hopefully we don't get snapped by those coils.
By the power of Grayskull.
Ow! Yep, it's got spark. We'll just set this on our finally recovered seat. So no flexi hoses, not really required because it's a straight shot for the upper and the lower. We got our belt-driven water pump here, which you can adjust and tighten. And here's our oiler, and you can adjust that packing nut so that it leaks only minimally. You got that same greaser down here at the bottom of the column. I don't know what they call those, grease cups, something like that. There's our steering shaft, and there's our throttle linkage, which goes through the engine, and our timing advance, which comes over there and goes to the distributor at the front of the engine. Instead of one single coil like you'd have on later model engines, you got 4 different coils, 1 to each cylinder. Speaking of cylinders, looks like somebody's been in there and scratched the dirt away. Maybe they took those as spark plugs out and oiled them up. There's our carburetor. Here's the choke rod going inside the car, and here's a choke rod going forward so that you could choke it when you hand cranked it as well. I'm pretty sure that's where the starter goes, so it doesn't have an electric starter on it. Maybe that's why he had that one. Maybe electric starters were an option. Who knows? Just kidding, that is where the generator goes for a vehicle with electric start to charge the battery for the electric starter. And the starter bolts on right there and drives the flywheel, of course. Just gonna shoot from the hip, but I'm guessing electric start was an option and not standard. Again, Henry Ford making these things as cheap as he could. I take that back, not cheap. He was making them affordable for the American working man and woman. And true to Henry Ford lore, you could get them any color so long as it was black. And this car was originally black. I think that's our oil fill. Like I said, our distributor's down there. It's got a updraft carburetor. It's got this little heat riser to heat her up. They didn't have much of an air filtration system, an oil filtration system. Our fuel tank is back here. You filled it up right there. It's missing the cap. I think the cap is the exact same between the radiator cap and the fuel cap. We're gonna find out real quick. Nope, it's smaller. Dang it, here I thought Henry Ford was using the same parts for everything. You'll notice there's no gauges in there. You could have, what was it called? A nanometer, manometer, hydrometer. Anyway, there's a gauge you could put on here with mercury in it, tell you how hot your engine was, but we don't have one of those. I got one somewhere. It's probably not for this car. But you had no gauges. You had a dipstick for checking your oil. You probably used the same dipstick to check to see how much gas you got. You had no speedometer because there was probably no speed limits back then. You could get aftermarket speedometers that would drive off the wheel, and then like I said, you could put the, I can't think of the name of the thing that goes on the radiator cap, but you could put those on there with the wings to monitor your water temperature, oil pressure. It probably didn't have any, so why would you monitor it? What I'm saying is, that's why these cars were like $190 by the end of production, is because Henry Ford had made them as cheap as possible, meaning no gauges. We got our fuel shut off. I think there's a little bit of a sediment bowl on there, or a petcock for draining it out. I don't know what we do. It turns over, so we should have compression. I guess we look in there to see how bad the fuel tank is, and if that's decent, we dump some gas in it and see where it leaks out. I definitely don't have a carb kit for that. I definitely don't have points for that. I probably don't have any spark plugs for that. I might have some radiator hoses and some hose clamps. Let's get our old Streamlight in there. You know, that don't look half bad. Not bad at all. I think that will run, unless it's rusted out on the bottom, but it's not awful rusty inside there. And I'm guessing, based on the filtration system this thing's got, that carburetor will burn about anything that comes out the fuel line. Well, we can't screw up the firing order because you got 4 coils in a row, 4 cylinders in a row. So let's go ahead and pull some spark plugs out. See what it looks like inside the cylinder, and maybe get this thing cranking over and see if we can get some compression. It's gonna be hard being by myself to put my finger over the hole and check for compression, so maybe we'll want to put that electric starter on there. That's the other thing is we got that starter that came with the car. I got no spare Model T starters around. You gotta love the old cloth covered wires. Mojo is gonna be so excited to see this thing in the shop when he comes in tomorrow. Probably not. I think these were a little bit before his time. How tight are the spark plugs? Do we need a wrench? Nope. Somebody has been here. Usually that doesn't mean anything good. Arr. Gotta love these old cylinder heads with the Ford marking on them and they say made in USA. Back when people had pride in their stuff. Look at those spark plugs. Look at how big the electrode is. Look at how big that whole dang spark plug is. I think the Model A's were like 35 horsepower, so these things are probably maybe 20. Of course, none of them match. So there's a Champion number 31. There's a Champion with a Ford script on it. And then we got two no-namers. You don't ever see those. The old pen lights getting, ooh. The old pen light's getting a workout. There is a lot of debris in there. How are we gonna get that either sucked or blown out? This cylinder looked pretty good. Not much in there. Oh yeah, there's definitely some mouse poop. Somebody left the spark plugs out for a while. This one has like a whole full-on mouse nest in it. Some seeds, a little bit of everything in there. Number 3, same deal, full-on mouse nest. There's a bunch of seeds in number 4 as well. So, how are we gonna get that stuff out? Well, let's do the right thing. Let's do the easy thing. It's probably not the right thing. Let's just crank it over real fast and hopefully it shoots out the spark plug holes or out the exhaust, not out the carburetor. Should probably have my sweet driving / safety goggles on. I wonder if these things came factory with headlights now that I think about it. That bar in the back would have went across from here to here and there was no provision for the headlights, so maybe they didn't even come with the headlights. That can't be, can it? These headlights do have Ford script on them, so at least they were a Ford accessory if nothing else. Okay, hopefully it's got enough compression to blow that crap out. Definitely doesn't. The valves going up and down. Or are they stuck up? That valve's not moving. That one is. That valve's closed. Oh yeah, we got some stuck valves. So now, do we want to pull the cylinder head off? The advantage of that is we can get rid of the tops of the valves. We can also get all the crap out of the cylinders. The bad part about that is I definitely don't have a head gasket around here and none of the parts stores are gonna either. We should record that call. Calling one of the local parts stores, being like, hey, John, you got a head gasket for a 1926 Ford? It's a T model, 4-cylinder. I don't know how many cubic inch or liters it is. Also, I don't think there was any engine options or transmission options for these things. You pretty much got what you got. You could pick the body style if you wanted a truck, a coupe, a sedan, a roadster, a touring, a cabin chassis, or just a cowl. I think you could just get a chassis with an engine in it and you put your own body on it. And I don't think it mattered if it was the smallest roadster or bare chassis or a full-on Model T truck. I think you got the same engine. Well, I guess we'll have to do a little wiring. Maybe we can just lay these coils off to the side. This radiator hose is pretty much shot. The belt is missing, so yeah. Also, it's got head bolts instead of studs, like the Ford Flathead V8s. So the head should just pop right off. Sounds like I talked myself into pulling the head off a Model T Ford. Here we go. So we got 1, 2, 3 bolts holding this whole coil assembly. And we'll just set that off to the side. We're gonna take 1 bolt off the water pump so we can fish the wires out. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I feel like I should be doing this with a crescent wrench. The Swedish nut lathe. The adjustable end wrench. Definitely shouldn't be using an impact. You know, for old time's sake, not because they're bad for things. Depends on who you ask. But we won't. You know, everything was an accessory on these cars. Like I talked about earlier, the electric start, the generator. I'm pretty sure these ran off a siphon system for the cooling system, and this water pump was an accessory. The horn was an accessory. You could get accessory high compression heads, the aforementioned speedometer, and gauge for the temperature that I'm never gonna remember. Everybody's screaming at the screen by now. You could get different accessory hubs and wheels. You could get different accessory transmissions and overdrives and rear ends, 2-speed rear ends, overdrive rear ends, swing away steering columns, spare tire brackets, different springs, coil springs, add-on springs. If all else fails, let's just LS swap this thing, right? That's what everybody wants to see. How many times do you think this thing's been overhauled in the last 100 years? I doubt there's any virgin, untouched Model T engine out there. Now you get 250, 300,000 miles out of an engine before you open it up, unless it's a late model GM piece of hot garbage. Or a Ford with cam phasers. But back in the day, I feel like you probably rebuilt these things like every 15,000 miles. I don't even know, maybe you just scrapped it out at 15,000 miles. Oh, you could get aftermarket accessory whistles that would go on the exhaust. You could get overhead valve conversions. Isn't there groups that rebuild these cars in like 3.5 minutes and I can't even figure out how to get it into neutral after 3.5 hours? So stamped over here on the side of the block is the serial number of this car, which is sequential, I do believe. And 123, 123, this is the 13.6 million car. Not exactly, but I don't want to give out, you know, the exact serial number or vehicle identification number of this car, but yeah, I would guess that this is a numbers matching engine, because maybe not, I don't know. Didn't they build, was it 15 million, 19 million? Anyway, they built 13.5 million at this point. Which begs to question, how many are still in existence? We can afford to be a little rough with this thing. Old Whistling Diesel, he was a lot rougher on him than we're gonna be. Just give me my dang ratchet back. You can keep the head bolt. There. Pew! Oh, it even went in the scrap bucket. But I can't do that again. Ow! There was some tension on them hose clamps. Don't worry, just cut the bolt, save the hose clamp. Because I'm definitely gonna reuse those. Definitely will not be reusing this radiator hose after I cut it with a knife. We'll see how things go here. But we're not keeping this thing. So price and availability in the video description. If you've always wanted a Model T, here's your chance to have one. It's a really nice car. One owner, always mechanically maintained, parked in the winter, only driven to church, and bingo. Hit us up. Price and availability in the video description. mortskerepair@gmail.com. You could own your very own 99-year-old car. All right, cylinder head removal time? Maybe? Please? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, that went really, really well. Didn't snap off any bolts. Everything came out super easy. The head fell right off, basically. So let's take a look at what we're working with. So yeah, there's the problem. Whole bunch of, oh, that's mouse poop. And that's their seeds. So not only was it the cafeteria, it was also the restroom. And you can see, which one of these? Well, anyway, that valve's not going down, and I think that one was not moving either. It is a McCord gasket, so I'm guessing somebody's been in here. Not only is there a bunch of debris in the cylinders, but there's a bunch of crap going on in the water jackets. Also in that water jacket as well. So yeah, we're gonna need to do a little cleaning before we put this back together. This will give us a chance to clean out the cylinders It'll get those valves loosened up, and also we get to look at some other things that are going on in here. Case in point, the water jackets. Get those cleaned up and we can inspect them. We can clean up the cylinder head as well. Let's check that out. I don't know what the compression ratio of these things are, but it can't be very high, because look at that combustion chamber. That is freaking huge. We should just take that over to the mill and take about 3 inches off of there to get some compression in there. But anyway, everything looks pretty good in there. We could probably clean out those water jackets. Like I said, the crap was coming out there and there, and then that water jacket doesn't look nearly as bad, but yeah, good chance to clean her up. Look at all this soot. Yeah. Oh, I should leave that in there. That'll boost our compression. Carbon. That's what that is. Carbon. Words. They're hard. Alrighty, I'm gonna go ahead and grab the vacuum cleaner and get that all shucked out of there. Silly mice. They're the demise of everything.
I hate Mrs. to pieces.
This job really sucks. Take the head gasket off. Give these valves a little bit of coil, and then while that soaks, I'm gonna go ahead and get all this carbon off these pistons, because it is insane how much carbon's on here. Let's start the carbon scraping with our carbon tipped super scraper, the SS1 model. Get yours at mortske.com. This is my favorite model. Good news is this has got the pop-up high compression pistons in her. Wow. Good grief. I don't think this thing was running good when it was running. Pistons do look in good shape, and they're cast steel, so they're not all pitted up from the mouse fecal matter like an aluminum one would be. I usually don't like scraping the gasket mating surface when we're going to reuse the gaskets, but because there's such a big carbon buildup, we got to scrape it off there because it's insane how much there is. Give them valves just a little bit more coil. Now I'm going to turn it over and get the other pistons all the way up so we can scrape those as well, and then hopefully some of the other valves will open so we can spray those down with coil. Now the fun begins, the big old game of whack-a-mole. So you only want to hit a valve that's up, obviously. And when both valves are up, that means that one of them is stuck, because both valves should never be open at the same time. So I got cylinder number 3, I believe. It's got 2 of them open right now. So let's go ahead and hit the one that's stuck down and not break it off, because I got no spare Model T valves around here. Did I say 3? I meant number 2. That one's stuck, but this one is stuck as well. So these are exhaust valves. This is the exhaust manifold. So the mice was got an exhaust and got those stuck open. I think this one's stuck as well, and that's an exhaust. So we got to get these 2 and that one loose. Here we go. Please don't break. That don't sound good. Maybe we'll just let that soak a little bit longer. Try exhaust number 4. Wow, that's real stuck. How about number 3? At least one of them don't be super stuck. Come on. There you go. Alright, we got one of them to move. I got a feeling this is going to be an entire case of Coil project. And an extreme test of my patience. There is a side cover we can remove, and we can pry these things down and heat them up and pop the springs off, and get the valves out if we need to, but I don't want to resort to that. I don't want to get that deep into a Model T, but if that's what we got to do for the YouTube, that's what we got to do. I really don't want to have to get a bigger hammer. Yeah, the exhaust valve is still really sticky on number 3. And we can't get 2 and 4 exhaust valves that even move. Cue the soak it in acetone and ATF. That'll free them right up. I had an uncle that did that back in '82. He's still driving it. All clearance. I feel like it moved a little bit. We gotta pull the side cover off, unfortunately. We gotta get some heat in there, or prying. I don't know what we gotta do. Deeper than I wanted to get into a Model T today. So you can see these two valves are open at the same time. This exhaust valve does not want to budge. And that exhaust valve on 4 does not want to budge. And it's still sticky on number 3, but we got it moving. There's this cover back here. But in order to get in there and work those valves over real good, we're gonna have to take the exhaust manifold, intake manifold off, which is the same bolts, so take them both off. We also gotta take the choke linkage, the throttle linkage, and the fuel line out of there as well, which isn't a big deal, but not what I wanted to do today. But I'm gonna do it because I appreciate you guys. So thanks very much for watching. Now back to your Model T action. Oh, of course our heat riser was full of mouse poop. Why wouldn't it be? Now these don't have gaskets, they got these metal inserts that seal everything up. I tell you what, we're just gonna leave the exhaust on there because it's not really in the way. Oh, imagine that, the mice made a house in there. That could be why they're stuck. So yeah, there's our valve springs, and sitting in there is our lifters, and this shouldn't be there. Is that a gasket? Oh, maybe that's a gasket. Huh. What do I know? Those leaves shouldn't be in there though. I don't know how they got in there. I'm sure our mouse friends wouldn't do that, would they? We're gonna need a new gasket. That is a giant piece of cork. Suck of the cork.
While you are soaking in the cork, you can also massage at the grapes.
I'm gonna grab the vac and clean that out and maybe get the old pressurized air and blow in there a little bit. But you can see that lifter is down in the bore and the valve is still stuck up. So we're gonna have to pry on that or get some heat in there or something. Good thing I didn't put the vacuum cleaner away. Ah yes, that looks much better. It'd be even better if that valve had made its way down, but it hasn't. So clearly it's stuck in the guide, but I don't know how we can put any heat on that, unfortunately. It's pretty thick material right there, so that's not gonna work heating up the block. I guess we'll try prying on it. Man, these are tiny little springs. Any amount of heat is gonna completely deform those. Well, that didn't gain us much other than cleaning a bunch of crap out of the side of the block. So I guess we go back to beating valves down. On the plus side, we can spray a little lube from the bottom, but I don't think it's gonna do much. Hammer time. Hey, that one went down. How about that? Number 3 is just about limbered up. Let's give her some oil from the bottom side. Still gotta get this number 2 exhaust valve to move. Oh, I should not have to hit a valve that hard. It's going! That almost deserves a sandwich. That thing has not moved in a long time. This one's gonna take some work. Back to number 4. Uh-oh, now I don't want to turn. I'm guessing that valve is stuck down now. Oh, was that bad? I felt the snap. Nope, just snapping open, maybe, please? Hopefully. It's got to go down way easier than it did the last time. Ah! We're looking for a Model T valve now. Great. That thing did take a pretty good beating. I think I tapped it down a little bit too far. My bad. That was probably one of the most stuck valves I've ever had to deal with. You can see where it failed wasn't from me hitting it off center. It was just tapping it too far down into the seat. So now we got to try to find a Model T exhaust valve. Good news is, I think they're the same valves because they're the same size. All about efficiency and effectivity and cost savings and single part numbers at Ford. All right, we might have to shelf this for a while. Let's get one of these from Napa or CarQuest. Yeah, right. I do know some guys around here that are into these things, so maybe we can find somebody who's got one sitting on the shelf. Otherwise, we'll have to get one off the internet and wait for it to get here. By horse, by train, however they ship Model T parts 100 years ago. We're gonna get her lubed up though. We're gonna get her fixed. It's too cool of a car and it's too old to just give up on a busted valve, you know? Like we used to do back in the day. I don't think we're gonna get anywhere with this one. Well, that's gonna end the day here at Mortske Repair. No luck sourcing a used valve last night, so we gotta order new ones, it's looking like. But anyway, we gotta get this old one out first, so let's go ahead and do that. I don't know if we're gonna have to break it off and push it out the bottom or try to pull it out the top. Who knows? So let's get after it. I got the valve keeper out of there. All it is this tiny little pin. Pulled it out with my fingers. Wasn't even rusted in there. I can about imagine how prying on this busted valve head's gonna go. First thing we're going to try is to take the old slide hammer, hook it up to the locking pliers via this attachment here, see if we can get that valve to pop right out the top. Problem is it's not pulling very straight, it's kind of pulling at an angle. It'd be neat if they made a locking pliers just for this that attached straight in the line of sight. I don't know. I don't have much faith in this method, but it's the easiest one to try. OTC made in Taiwan slide hammer, part number 4579, worked pretty dang good. It's got a bunch of different attachments. I use that pretty sparingly, but when I do, it's a lifesaver. Here is our busted valve. The interesting thing about these is it's a cast iron head press fit onto a mild steel or a tempered steel, anyway, non-cast stem. You can see that cross hole, that's where that pin goes through. There's a keeper that goes on there. Here's our valve spring, just a little tiny guy. And then there's our keeper that goes on the bottom. And then this is the pin that goes through that cross hole. And that's what holds it all in place. Nothing to it. Now we just got to find one of these. The new replacement ones are one piece, and most of the ones that I found are stainless. They got different diameter shanks. And I really don't want to get into different diameter and get into reaming stuff out and putting a whole set in and grinding valves, because I don't really want to own a Model T that bad. So I just want to drop a used one back in there and get her on the road. Well, the reason they went to a one-piece design is not only for manufacturability, but also because I guess these are pretty notorious for breaking apart or head falling off and then going to the piston and ruining your engine. So you definitely don't want that. All right, now we got to see what we can do to come up with a replacement. But we do know that this is an original or an original style valve, seeing how it is a cast iron top with a mild steel stem. The more you know. So I guess it's common to use Chevrolet exhaust valves, which are a 1.5 inch diameter, and the stem is a 0.34 inches. These are 0.31 inches, so you got to ream them out. So I grabbed some small block Chevy exhaust valves that I had laying around, and then I grabbed some other mystery valves, and check this out. Like I said, this guy is a 0.31 inch stem diameter. All three of these valves are 1.5 inch head diameter. This is a 0.31 inch stem diameter. This one, I don't know if it's an old Chevrolet, but it's 0.31 as well, so I thought this will work perfect. No, she's about a 1/4 inch too short. Obviously we'll have to figure out the retainer, but then I grabbed some small block Chevy ones and they are even shorter yet. So guys must be using adjustable tappets in order to run these small block Chevy valves and also reaming them out. So no luck going through my NOS stash. I guess we'll throw these back in there. Small block Chevys are a Hermite brand made in USA. I think Mojo brought those out one day. They probably brought these ones. These are actual GMs. Old school, new old stock, good stuff. I'm guessing these are from a 235 or a 216 6-cylinder. Old school. Seems like there's 6 of them. Neat stuff. Unfortunately, they're not going to work for us. I'd be all for drilling a hole for that cross pin, and I'd be all for throwing them in the lathe and turning them down so that we could get them to fit in there. But I'm not going to weld and extend the stem on an exhaust valve or intake valve on a Model T today. So the search continues. Did you round up a valve? Attaboy. It's coming, he says. So while we're waiting for a valve to show up, let's go ahead and mess with the ignition. Let's get some spark working. So the fun part about the Model Ts is I have fond memories of my grandpa sitting in a rocking chair in our shop, and he'd be over there playing with these wooden boxes, and all of a sudden you'd hear this bzzz, and his face would just light up and I'd be scared. And anyway, he'd be over there tinkering with these things for hours, and I've never messed with these coils. There's one for each cylinder. They're called buzz coils, buzz boxes, Model T coils. Anyway, I got a tool from one of my grandpa's old friends, and he said, use this to test them. He says, you can test them manually, but I got this tool, come pick it up. So let's look at these things. So these are the 4 coils that are in there. This is obviously significantly different. They use these coils in a lot of things, hit and miss engines, and people would use them for all kinds of different uses. But anyway, this is a stock Ford one. These ones got these little adapters wired on them, so somebody was using them for some other application. So we'd have to melt the solder off to get those to fit in our testing device. So we're just going to leave those for now, and we'll mess with this one. And then, like I said, this thing is basically the same concept, I would imagine. You got 2 contacts there, and then 1 on the bottom, so you got 3 on this side. And they got thumb screws, and then there's a set of points in there, so we might have to flick some points, and that's how you can adjust that gap for the points. Where is it on this one? Is there a thumb screw on there? Must just be that right there that we adjust. Anyway, there's a set of points right there that we got to adjust, and that's the buzzing you'll hear is that jumping back and forth. So what Rudy gave us is this Jefferson Electric, it's a tester for coils. There's our 3 contacts, 1 on the bottom, 2 on the side. This is the on-off switch. That makes continuity with right there. That's on, that's off. We can adjust the gap on the spark, either there or there. We can put a spark plug in there, and we can test the spark plug along with the coil. And you can also test single pole and double pole light bulbs. He said you could hook it up 12 volt, 6 volt, didn't matter. So I got a 12 volt battery, so let's test a 6 volt coil with a 12 volt battery. What's the worst that could happen? You might want to keep your distance. So let's give her a little flick. This is the only one that's going to fit in there. So let's go ahead and fit that in there. He also said that sometimes you got to put like a wood window or door shim in your coil box on your car, because these are made out of wood and they'll shrink and swell with the humidity. You can take these apart. He said pretty much the only thing that ever goes bad, other than, you know, bad connections and dirty points, is there's a condenser inside of there. And he said this is full of tar, and you got your primary coil and your secondary coil, or primary windings and your secondary windings. So in order to get at that condenser, you got to go ahead and take these 2 brad nails out, and then you can slide this wood cover off, and then you got to dig a whole bunch of tar out, and you can get a replacement condenser to put in there. Otherwise, he says a lot of guys will just bolt a condenser on externally, but then they won't fit in the battery box anymore. So the more you know. Let's see what happens. Slide that in there, but he says, yeah, as they swell up and shrink, sometimes you got to keep some door shims handy. So there it is. I don't know what we got for polarity here. Does it matter if we hook it up backwards? Probably. Well, it's off now. We got nothing. Well then, let's try it the other polarity. Let's turn our switch off. Where do we start? I think what I'm going to do is start by just taking all the other coils out of the coil box, and we'll test those. Alright, our coils slid right out of our coil box. And you can take the distributor off that's on there, or the contact, whatever you call it, and you can just put a regular distributor on there with 1 coil, but that's cheating. Well, these had something. Oh, there it is. Something HB. Anyway, I guess let's try these. Wish we had a known good one. That way we would know maybe what we're doing. Nothing. Did I have that slid in the right way? Surely I didn't slide it in wrong.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Gotta make sure you have it slid in far enough. The points are welded shut on that one. They're apart now, though. 3rd coil's a charm, right? Ah! Oh, it'll make you jump. Oh, that's so cool. Check this out. Can't believe you're not even scared. Usually stuff like this doesn't excite you. You watch the continuity there when I touch that switch, and also you can see the blue spark there. Maybe we gotta close that gap up a little bit. I think we gotta clean them all a little bit, but we're making progress. I'm excited. What Rudy said is clean those points up, and then clean the contacts up there and there. All these nuts, take them loose and clean them up, and then clean up these brass contacts as well. And then you can bend this tab right here to open or close that gap. And I guess right here, I thought there was a thumb screw on the one that he showed me, but that's how you can adjust the points gap as well. Give me a little scratchy scratch there. I should have my Mortske flick device screwdriver. Get yours at mortske.com. This one's a thick girl. Oh yeah. Ooh, that's got some good spark. Check this out. See how wide we can go. This is fun. I found my new calling. Rudy said that when he was in school, so probably in the 50s, I would imagine. He's 92 or 3. He said he had a Crosley, and I guess the guys on the football team would put his car sideways in parking spots. So he hooked one of these up to a pendulum to the car. So as they were rocking the car, it would open the circuit on that pendulum and it would electrocute them. So just another use for the old Ford coil. These things are so cool. 100-year-old coil. These things are still working. See, it's never the coil. Man, if I could just get the rest to work as good as that one. Mortske flick, is that gonna fix it? Oh, she's a little green down here. Maybe that's what it is. Nothing. It's arcing up there, but it's not down here. Why is that? Don't zap me, please. Bad connection? That one's kind of working. But we're not getting the spark out here. Alright. We got some work to do. Alright, I took these 5 nuts loose. They're copper nuts. Cleaned them all up. Cleaned all the connections up. Let's see what happens. If I can clean these things up and get them working again, anybody can do it. I think that'll work good enough for the girls we go with. Let's start with the crustiest one. He said you got to be careful because there's a stud going inside of this coil, and make sure that doesn't spin, because if that spins and breaks the wire in there, you got to take it all apart and get that tar out of there. The one that I just took apart, everything came apart really nicely. And the nice part about doing this is you got 3 other ones for reference. Oh boy. That one's a little snug. She came out though. I just had an epiphany with old Tiffany. She said, clean those up before you even take them apart. What's it gonna hurt? Good idea, Tiff. Oh no. That one's spinning. Well, son of a biscuit. I don't know that that one really matters. I don't know that there's a wire on the back side of that one anyway. Well, that sucks. See if we can sneak this out of there. You can get pretty rough with it, I'm guessing, because you know it's only 100 years old. Now I'm going to take and clean up the bottom side of all of our copper nuts here. I'll just put it all back together. So there's a pile of videos on the internet. I am by no means the expert. This is the first time I've worked on a set of Model T buzz boxes, so if you really want to know what to do, go find an expert, because it's definitely not what we are here. I like snugging these back ones up first because that really is kind of stationary, and then I'm guessing this tension on this big nut here, that's what closes or opens your gap. I don't know how we're going to get that other nut to snug on down though. Clean up our external contacts quick. Let's throw it in the box and see how we did. I can't get that one tight, but I don't think it's doing anything. Here we go. How'd our rebuild job do? It's arcing up here, but it's not down here. And this was the one that was doing that before, so I don't know what's going on. Somewhere we don't have continuity where we should. Let's try closing them points down a bit. Nope. How about if we open them up? Still nothing. Good thing we got spares, I guess. Let's just set that one off to the side for now. There's a bunch of that tar that's been coming out here, so I wonder if this one hasn't been hot. I don't have much faith. DD Speed Shop has been here. It's got the schmoo on it. Nope. I don't like it. Well, it looks like somebody just had the cover on this one on upside down. They got their points up here and they should be under here. Somebody's been here before. That's why it's good to have extras. All right, let's take it apart, put it together the right way. Yeah, that is supposed to be like this. There's our points contacts. They gotta go against that. Let's see how the Mortske overhaul did. It did nothing. All right. That one's a no-go so far too. So I think we got 3 that are working. That one doesn't jump much of a spark, so let's clean it up anyway. And by all means, if you see me doing something wrong here, comment down below. I'd love to hear from people who've done this before. Fresh off the Mortske's bench overhaul. Let's see how she does. No spark. What if we open up our points a bit? No, it gets weaker. There we go. It's super inconsistent. That tells me condenser. Not looking good. We only got one that's came out real well after cleaning it up. We got one more to clean up here. Alright, let's see if this one still works after I mess with it. Good spark. Oh, that's a nice hot one. Let's see if we can't screw it up by cleaning it. As good as that one works, I'm not even gonna mess with it. Grabbed a new old stock SE 324 Niehoff condenser and wired it up between those 2 contacts, or studs, or whatever you call it. Let's see if that breathes new life into this thing. Here we go. No life? What? Didn't this one kind of work before? Well, son of a biscuit. There we go. Oh, we had her set pretty wide. That's a nice hot one. Condenser fixed it, but now it won't fit inside of our coil box the way that it should. But for what we're doing, should work just fine. We got 1. Let's make sure we got 4 that work. They all sound a little bit different. And that's probably because I don't have them adjusted properly. Boy, this is the girthy girl. This one was hot. Let's open that up a bit, see how it sounds. Still sounds the same. There we go. I think when they're whizzing like that, they're a little bit too far opened up. Let's close that other one. I feel like that's the way Grandpa would tune them up, is by ear. Good enough for the girls we go with. There we go. 4 freshly tuned up coils, Duff. Ready to rock. If we only had that valve. Just for S's and G's, let's put a condenser on this one. Here, I'll show you what it's doing now. We're getting no spark right there. But it's buzzing up there. All right, here we go. We got an FD77. It's a 60s Ford condenser. Let's see if we get some sparkage now. Look at that. Dang. That is wild. These things are 100 years old and still throwing some hot ASS spark. Just got these 2 dead suckers over here that I don't know what to do. Like I said, they're 100 years old, so anything could be possible. Who knows what might be wrong. Could very well be operator error. Here we go, another FD77 condenser. Slingshot engage.
Slingshot engaged.
Yeah, I think she's dead. All right, we got 5 working already, so let's quit while we're ahead. We may as well test our spark plugs out. Just layer in there, make contact there and there. Bada bing, bada boom. Duff, what'd you find last night? You go on a road trip in the old 67 C10? That's right. A guy who we've never had on our video before. We drove by his place in the 71 wagon video. He's got a bunch of early Fords, including some Model Ts. So he said he had a valve. Anyway, long story short, he had an extra valve assembly. So let's get this thing thrown in there if we can't get this thing running. He's a fan of the show, so we gave him some swag. And shout out to Tanner for giving us some more junk that we didn't need. Well, actually this time we did need it, but let's get after it. He said he upgraded his Model T with one piece oversized valve, so he kept the old ones. Looks like that's gonna work just perfect. I'm just gonna clean that up on the wire wheel, and then we're gonna go ahead and maybe throw a little lapping compound and lap it in there just for fun. We're not gonna do a full-on valve job. I'm gonna throw this all back together. And following with our probably not doing it right, I'm just gonna dab a little bit of this valve grinding compound. I thought there was such a thing as valve lapping compound, but anyway, this is what I got. So this is what we're using. Just dab that on there, we'll drop her in, spin her back and forth a few times, call it good. Kind of want to hit it with the wire wheel. We'll drop our valve in place and start a fire. Oh, come on. It's so pitted up, it doesn't want to seal. We'll spin it from underneath by hand, I guess. There we go. I would not be good at starting a fire by hand. Alright, now we just gotta put our spring and our keeper and everything on and go ahead and continue on. We gotta get that one loosened up a little bit more. Or was it that one? I think it's that one. There she is, number 2 exhaust valve all installed. Let's go ahead and see if we can get the other ones working. We got them. I'm not guaranteeing any of them are going to seal, but they're all going up and down. And that's good enough for me. Clean up our head gasket surface. So I wanted to check oil on this thing before we get it all put together, and then I also got to figure out what kind of oil it's going to get. It's probably going to get 1540 or straight 30 weight, because that's what I got, and the local Model T store isn't open today. But check this out, how you check the fluid level. This is way before dips. These things were a labor of love just to get the car running, just to do your 72-point check before you went for a ride. So we pull our floorboards out, held together by a North Dakota 1938 license plate. And then we call this the hogshead, or the transmission, or the clutch housing, or who knows what it is. But down there alongside the hogshead, you got 2 valves. The bottom one is to drain the engine oil, and the top one is to check the oil. And that same oil is used for the transmission as well. So yeah, interesting. It should be fun. So what you got to do is you got to crack that upper valve, and then you pull this cap off at the front of the engine, and you dump your oil in there till it runs out. Pretty wild stuff in 1926. There we go. She's just starting to drip. It took 2.5 quarts. We got the Amoco MV all-season motor oil. Vintage cars require Vintage oil. And yes, I did poke a stick in that petcock to make sure that it went through so that it wasn't plugged up, so I dumped like 8 quarts in just to find out that that petcock was plugged and it was way over full. And it sounds like these things got a wet clutch, so that same oil that's going through your engine's bearings is also getting clutch material in it. So high class stuff, you know. It never worked, I guess. Before we get it running, let's test to make sure that we got spark. So we already know the coils are working, but we also got some contacts and stuff going on inside that distributor cap, or whatever they call it down there. So we also got a bunch of wires here that could be bad and contacts in here. So let's go ahead and work on that. First thing I'm gonna do is blow this box out, and then I'm gonna get my wire brush in there and clean up the contacts. Always brush your teeth, kids. This one would hurt though. Alright, now we just gotta slide them back in. Oh, they're tight. Nice and tight. Just the way we like them. So, we got 4 wires coming from our distributor. We got 4 wires going to our spark plugs, and then we got 1 wire going to our mag switch in the cab. Stay. Now if we turn the mag switch on, at any given point one of these things should be buzzing, and only one. Does this even turn without the key? Well, it's that on. I'm guessing we don't have continuity, but let's turn it over real slow and see if we get some buzzing. We may have a bad wire, the switch may be bad, we might not have continuity somewhere. Any of these wires going to the distributor might be bad, or the contacts in the cap might be bad, so let's give her a whirl. I mean, it is only 100 years old. Or do we gotta have the spark plugs in there for them to buzz? Shouldn't have to, right? Maybe? How does this work without a battery? Suppose we have to hook a battery up. Yeah, they're not gonna buzz without a battery, duh. All right, so I'm thinking we take a battery and we hook 1 lead up to the bottom of the coil pack here and 1 lead to the engine, which is gonna be the ground. We're gonna go with 12 volts and see what happens. We still might have to have spark plugs in it to complete the circuit. Probably. Look at this. This is the headlight bar that came with the car. So headlights were an option. That bar would have went from this mount over here where this headlight was to where that was. So this car was bare bones, no electric start, didn't even have headlights. You can see that's the mount where it would have went, and it's the perfect width. I already laid it across there, but anyway, let me show you my testing apparatus. So I get this hooked up to the bottom of the coil where the mag switch would be, and then I got our ground hooked up to our water pump over there. Check this out. This guy right there is buzzing. Now let's turn it over and see if the other 3 will buzz at the right time. All right, none of them. That one. Oh, we lost our wire. Hang on. Game on.
Game on! Game on!
That's the high-pitched buzzer. Where's that one at? 3rd one. All we got left is the first one to test. There it is. It's arcing out across the wire right there. So, firing order must be 1, 2, 4, 3. Just like that, we pretty much test our entire ignition system. We just got to put spark plugs in this thing and send her down the road. The old wire wheel cleaned up the head. Now let's take some head gasket in a can and overhaul this McCord 24 head gasket. Here we go. Paint booth's all set up, ready to go. Paint booth, machine shop, you name it. It's everything. Your one-stop Model T shop. Alright, she's ready to go. blew out the water passageways as best as I could. There's no thermostat in these things. Should have put some hooks in the spark plug holes to set it in place. That would have been smart. Probably should have cleaned up the head bolts too. Properly torque our head down from the center out. Give me my socket back. Cool. Head bolts are in. We just got to do spark plugs and put our carburation system back on. I don't know what brand of cast iron carburetor this is. If it's Ford Design or Marvel Shebler or Hawley. Probably says on that tag right there. Anyway, there ain't much to it. The choke opens and closes. The throttle seems like it's free. But the only other thing is that it's clean where fuel goes in, so the fuel can get in there, and that our needle and seat is doing needle and seat things in the float as well. But it's easy enough to take off later, so we're just gonna throw it on there and run it. Old Henry, he liked putting his name on everything. Carburetors down there just need to put a cotter key through the throttle linkage and also hook up the fuel line, but I think before we do that, let's dump some fuel into the tank and see if we can't get it coming out down here, because there is a sediment bowl and a petcock and we might need to clean that stuff, so I don't want to put the line on there, just take it off again later. But well, let me show you just how ingenious old Henry was with this throttle mixture, fuel mixture, choke rod combination. So right here, it's on the passenger side because the driver can reach it, and also because he can have that rod super short and easy to make by just running it straight down to the carburetor, where if it was over there, they'd have to have some linkage or a bent rod or a cable or something. But this is your choke lever, so this is full choke, choke off. But you can also change the idle mixture or air fuel mixture by turning this clockwise or counterclockwise. And it's got that little knob on there, so it tells you if it's moving on you or if you moved it, or you can adjust it and play with it. Super simple design. That rod comes through here. It's round, but it's square on the end. So this piece is round, and that goes up against your cotter key, and that's your choke. So that applies your choke down here. When you pull up on that, applies your choke. And then that square on the end slides in and out of this, which has got a knuckle down here, and that turns your air mixture screw tighter or looser. Pretty cool stuff. You can do it all right from inside of the car. And while the car is running and on the fly, put a little petrol in and see what happens. Man, I wonder what gas went for per gallon in 1926. I presume that is on, or maybe not. Well, I don't have fuel running out inside the car. So looks like there's a shut-off valve here. Oh, you gotta spin it multiple times? No, it's gotta be a ball valve where just that way is on and that way's off, or vice versa. Let's check the old petcock. Got fuel there. Kinda. What if we turn it this way? How about this way? There we go. So we gotta have it facing towards me. How about now? There we go. How when we face it that way? Nothing. Well, that's pretty nifty. Not really. Let's put the fuel line back on. Better yet, let's blow it out first. Now we watch for leaks. Well, leaking right at the fuel line connector. Of course. Now it's just pouring out of the carburetor. Starting to regret put that carburetor on there. Crawl underneath there, it's not coming out that petcock on the bottom of the float bowl. It is coming out the front of the carburetor, so I'm guessing the needle and seat and or the float has issues. So let's just pull her back apart, clean her up on the bench, see what happens. I really didn't want to open it up because basically the only gasket there is the bowl gasket, and we're probably gonna ruin that. Good grief. That ain't left-hand thread, is it? Oh. This is kind of why I didn't want to tear into this thing. That is T-I-T-E, tight. Let's clean this tag off while we're sitting here cursing this thing. It is a model NH. By who? By the Holly Carburetor Company, Detroit, Michigan. Last patented in 11/2 of 1915. Holly NH. Back when they were just single pumping, no pumpers actually. That bolt does not want to come out, and I don't want to snap it off because we ain't gonna find another one. So we're just gonna try to run it with what it's doing now. See what happens. Well, hopefully that carburetor will work good enough to get this thing running. Fuel on. Throttle to idle. Ignition at full retard. Gas pouring everywhere. Close it to a slow leak. Hook up our coil. Let's see what happens. They say to only crank with your left hand, so if it grabs it, it doesn't break your wrist. So I'm not left-handed, but we'll give it a whirl. Not want to crank. This is work. We're not getting anything. We should be getting sparked each of those. 4, 3, 1, 2. All right. I guess we just don't have enough compression to pull the fuel up in there, or suction, or maybe the exhaust is plugged with the same mouse crap that got in and stuck our valves. That couldn't be. I guess check for compression. That should be fun, cranking it by hand. We're definitely not getting any fuel up there. Not wet at all. Compression never. Good grief. A little bit on that one. Maybe that's just the way these things are. I know they're super low compression, but I feel like there should be something there. There's a little bit, but it ain't much. Not enough to push my thumb off, and I'm not that strong. I think it's time to have a sandwich and think about it. How about you? Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the exhaust off, see if there's some mouse nest in there. Just, free this thing up, free up an extra couple horsepower. So the exhaust connection on the exhaust manifold is basically just a big pipe thread nut. And that nut has been broken and they got a wire wrapped around it holding it together, so I don't think we have to worry about screwing that up. Looks like somebody already beat us to it. Exhaust is disconnected. There you can see that split in that nut that was already there. Now we got the restrictor plate ripped off the old red dragon here. Let's see if she rips.
Took the restrictor plate off, give the red dragon a little more juice.
Hold on, let's put some spark plugs in first. I imagine this is probably the same process you'd go through to get your Model T running every day when you went to work. Get up an hour and a half early just to get this thing running. Heard a lot of interesting Model T stories over the year. A couple of them that my grandpa told me. He talked about how guys would drain the engine oil, which makes sense now because you could just use a petcock, you didn't need any tools. Drain the oil and bring it inside, put it on the top of the stove, get it all warmed up, and then dump it in. You could do the same thing with the coolant. Other people would take a pan and put a bunch of ashes in it and put it underneath the engine to warm it up. And then one of the other things that I remember him saying is having to back up hills. And that was because when you're going uphill, all the gas would run to the back of the tank, but if you're backing up it, the gas would run up here and run down to the carburetor. So that's your worthless Model T information. I'm sure there's a million other stories about Model Ts. If you've got one, share it down below. I'd love to hear it. So the other neat thing about these cars is they made kits. Sears and Roebuck made one. There were several other ones. Tiemann made them for Model A's, but you can make them into tractors. And then people use them for all kinds of other things. You could put PTO attachments on them, you name it. Because there was literally millions of them available. So they did everything they could to utilize them. Alright, fuel on-ish. Coils hooked up. Here we go. Nothing. Oh, good grief. All right, fresh day, we got a fresh plan. So we're gonna drizzle a little gas down the spark plug holes, and hopefully we don't have to worry about sucking gas up through the carburetor because we're gonna already have gas in the cylinders. And we'll get one, maybe two good bangs out of that, and hopefully it spins over fast enough to pick fuel up from the carburetor. I don't know, it's worth trying, it's easy enough. Spin 4 spark plugs out, always worked good with the snowmobiles. We used to do that back in the day way too many times. Duff says it's a good idea. Oh, settle down, boy. Give it a little gas. Coils. There goes nothing. And that's what we get. Nothing. Not even a pop. Number 3 doesn't want to buzz. Anyway, that plan didn't work. We got a buzz box that isn't buzzing, so let's go ahead and test that number 3 buzz box out. And then get that fixed, or if it's something on the car side. Anyway, we gotta get that fixed before we try any further. All right, swap in our spare coil. Tested that coil, it works fine. You put it in here, it works for a second. So anyway, we're gonna try the used coil. So when I put the spare in here and hooked her up, it fired out the exhaust. So clearly there was some gas in there. Let's try her again. Oh, they're definitely wet now. But it's dry around the electrode. Same deal, plug's wet, but it's dry around the electrode. Maybe we're putting too much gas in there. Coil's hooked up. Here goes nothing. That's what we're getting, nothing. Back to the old drawing boards. Next plan of attack. Got all the plugs out, hooked up to the plug wires. Let's see if the spark plugs are getting spark. 4. 3 and 4 for some reason. 1. 2. There's 4. There's 3. All right, I think they're all doing the right thing. So that's not it. It's got to be compression. Next plan, I think we're going to put a little Marvel or some engine oil or something down the cylinders, get some oil in there to try to seal up them rings. We're going to throw it all back together. We're going to hook her behind Bernie, hopefully. I'm worried about how you hook onto this thing because that pickup was built in the 70s and this car was built in the 20s. So tow trucks were a little bit different in the 20s, so hopefully that thing will hook up to this thing without bending up the fenders of the license plate or whatever. So that's what we're going to do. Then we're going to pull it around the yard, get some heat in there, and then get somebody to help me and drive, and I'll run the gas and the clutch and the coil and see if we can get this thing to pop off, turn it over a little bit faster, get some heat into them cylinders. 60% of the time works every time.
60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
Here we go, Model T hooked up behind Bernie. That's a first. Well, we got a Model T on 32 frame rails behind it, I think. Anyway, hopefully it doesn't get into our sheet metal or our nice purple headlight lenses, but I think we'll be good. Give her a whirl. All right, we're getting her running, but yeah, it doesn't have enough power to push the tow truck, so I couldn't tell it was running. So we're gonna try again. Come on, baby. I don't hear spark boxes sparking anymore. Come on, baby. We're running on her own. Kinda. Give her a little advance. Ah, so close. Trying her again. Ah. Ah, shoot. So close. Now we're taking off. And now we're stopped. I think we need a carburetor. Something better hooked up to this thing. The controlled leak that we currently have just isn't cutting it. What do we do? Lose our spark? It ain't popping no more. We need more gas. I'm gonna go ahead and open up the controlled leak valve a little bit more. How about now? Maybe we did lose spark. We're hardly getting a fart. You can hear all the coils buzzing, so we should have spark. Go, 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 go. Uh-oh.
Smother that out. Is it getting worse?
Yeah.
Can you tell I really don't want to use the fire extinguisher?
Yes. Did you get it? Success! Sorta. Fire's out.
Mojo's like, I'm just gonna dump gas
No,
on it.
I pulled it on. I wasn't sure how exciting it was gonna get.
Now we need a welding jacket sponsor.
Oh man,
That was fun.
exciting.
I think we need a carburetor.
Well, maybe it'll come apart better now that it's been warmed up. We gotta get that bolt to come out of there. Where's all that rust coming from? Anyway, definitely done spraying water. So, let's try getting that bolt out of there. I'll break the gear off that freaking carburetor. Oh, that's tight. I think this is just a drain or a, I don't know if it's an adjustment. Taking this out isn't going to get us anything, I don't think. Looks like it's tapered, so that just means that it's probably to let something by at some point. It's also plugged up, so that can't be helping. But yeah, there's a hole in the side, so I think that's just a drain to drain the water out of your bowl. Oh. Maybe the rattling of an impact will make it come out. Doing it. Oh yeah, I'm sure this looks great. Well, I got a hunch that might be a problem, or the problem. Let's take it apart, clean it up, see what we can find. I got a feeling that float isn't doing floating things anymore. Clean it up and try. Usually when they're all smashed in like that, you don't want clay inside your carburetor. But I was saying, when they're all smashed in like that, that's usually from water being in there and freezing. And yeah, usually they don't stay buoyant after that, but you never know. Oh, that's a lot of nastiness. Must be that dang old ethanol, I tell you what. Trying to get the needle out of here. I don't know if it's a two-piece, or if it's all in one. Oh, baby, there it is. Got it. It's a nice old brass one, so hopefully that cleans up. Set my clean rag down here to put all my carburetor parts on that are all dirty. So I wonder it even ran at all. The seat doesn't want to budge, and I'm not going to try real hard. So we got our fuel line coming in there, goes to our needle and seat, which is right there, and then our float shuts that on and off, or should. And then I believe the fuel's supposed to go up through there and feed into the carburetor. And that looks like it's plugged solid, so we should get that blown out, and then maybe it'll run. We gotta take this top screw out, and that's gonna adjust the mixture. And so the fuel goes up through there and goes through that passageway, and this mixture rod adjusts that, so hopefully we can get that out of there. Then we can get her cleaned out. I hate working with these old cast iron carburetors. Give me an aluminum one. I got this needly thingy in there. Air mixture screw, right? Probably. Who knows? Probably doesn't hurt to clean that up too. Now, hopefully we can blow through there. Haven't cleaned a carb with a torch tip cleaner. Tech tip of the day, get yourself a torch tip cleaner. on Amazon or your local welding shop or farm supply shop. They look great for cleaning out passageways. Whoa, what the French? There we go. That's gonna be the problem. With that plugged up, no fuel was getting up and into the carburetor. So it was literally running off the crappy gas that was leaking past the bowl and flooding. Now we know. See, that rod goes all the way through to the top now. Then these things kind of got, I don't know if you call it like sandpaper or a reamer, but they got some grit on the sides of them for cleaning stuff up. And then of course they're in all different diameters. We'll take this back to the sink, clean it up, see if it floats. And if it does, we're gonna use it. If it doesn't, we're gonna be looking for a float. Well, I got a float bowl full of water, and the float floats in the bowl of water. So I think we're good. Good deal. Now we just gotta get some gaskets or salvage what we got. Or make some new ones. One freshly Mortske bench overhauled model NH Holly carburetor, ready to go. I did find a new bowl gasket. That's the only other gasket. I didn't find one. Didn't look real hard, but it seemed like it was a brass or a copper washer on there, so it should be good to go. I don't have much faith in this one, but we can always snug her up a little bit if we have to. And then this one looked like it was reusable. So let's throw it back on there and see what happens. Well, we got it all back together. Let's turn the fuel on, see what happens. See where it leaks at. Oh, it's a little wet around our connection. Give it a second to fill the bowl. Even my Model A, it runs out the back of the carburetor a little bit. Yeah, there's a drip. There, it's pissing out around the bowl. Son of a gun. Anyway, we can try running it. I need to get a bowl gasket or try to trim and fit that better. But let's give her a pull around the yard and see what happens now that we got everything all cleaned out. Better yet, let's give her a crank, see what happens. Just kidding, can't crank it with Bernie hooked up, and I really don't feel like cranking it anyway. Easy. She's running anyway. Well, let's try her again. Back to full retard. I wonder if we're not getting any fuel. Should be able to tell by just cracking her open a little bit more and see if it's running out the bowl. It's not pouring out. Surely this thing can't be getting that terrible gas mileage. I just had to wait a little bit. There, it's running out. Let's see what happens with it there. Here we go. Now it doesn't want to speed up. Try turning that fuel valve so it's pointing straight over. Come over here. Horizontal, yeah. Seems like it runs really good and then it dies. It runs really poor for a long time, then runs really good for a second and then dies. I don't know if we're flooding it and then it finally gets to the point where it's not flooded. I guess we're gonna keep trying.
A gas now?
Yeah, I don't know. It's running real great.
It wasn't.
I don't got any gas running out of the bowl, so it must mean it needs more gas. Guess this could be plugged up. I could have got plugged up in the needle and seat. I'm sure that fuel tank didn't have any debris in it. Come on, baby. Now she's running a lot better. I played with the idle mixture, or the air mixture. She's a runner. Come on, baby, stay running. Oh, that's probably not good. Barely getting any gas out down there. There. That should be enough. Nice base for starting a fire anyway. Oh, now she's peeing out everywhere. Definitely needs a carb kit, and before we run it too much longer, we gotta get some water in it, so we gotta get some rad hoses. But anyway, she's a runner, so great success.
Great success.
Well, next on the list, if we're gonna run it any longer, we gotta get some water in it. So if we're gonna go any further with running it longer on the carburetor, we gotta have water in it. What I'm getting at is, let's get some radiator hoses on this thing. So we got to put this short chunk of 2" up here, and then there's an 1 3/4 on this end and an 1 3/4 on this end, it looks like. And I'm sure that that is rotten as well. The bad part is, I think we got to pretty much take the whole radiator head to replace those, because it's just such a short chunk in there. But we'll see what happens. Maybe we can loosen this up and slide it ahead. I don't know. First time doing this. I got some bulk 2" radiator hose here. Well, I don't know if it's radiator hose. Probably for an intercooler, but it'll work. And then just some leftover 1 3/4. And then we'll just use a chunk of 1 3/4 exhaust tubing in between the radiator and the water pump, between these splices. Right? Right. Just say no to flexi hose. As they do, things have escalated. I was going to replace this lower radiator tubing that's all rusted out with some exhaust tube. You know, give it some nice new clamps and some hose. But then I see this. The bottom of the radiator, it's steel. And it's full of rust, which isn't so bad, except for the fact that right where I got to clamp it onto the radiator is all rotted out. This whole radiator's seen some things in 100 years. Probably bullet holes from when they were getting shot at during the Depression when they were hauling moonshine. Ugh. Son of a... A good radiator shop could solder a new steel end. They likely make those. I'm guessing it was probably actually cast, but I don't have one, nor do I have this capabilities or the skill set or a radiator shop near me. And I also don't have a spare Model T radiator around. No, definitely don't. That sucks, because I kind of wanted to putt this thing around the yard, and I definitely want to have some coolant in it when I do it. Thought I was throwing the towel, didn't you? Well, things have escalated. I'm going to pull this radiator off, see if I can't fix it. What is going to happen? Probably going to make it worse. Yeah, as soon as this rod snaps off. Come on, you're only 100 years old. What's your problem? Maybe if I get a little heat right by the fuel tank. People love when I do stuff like that. Seal, belting, melting, whatever that stuff's called. Hood lacing. Now, let that come off. Sweet. Thought that splash apron down there was all one piece with the grill, but it's not. Oh yeah, things are getting real western around here. Got some 1 3/4 exhaust tubing, expanded out. And we're just gonna slip that over there, gonna prep it a little bit, you know, so you get real good penetration with the DD Speed Shop weld here. And then we're just gonna schmoo, I believe is what he calls it, on there, real good. And the nice part about this is, if somebody ever wants to fix this up right, never mind those tubes there, is this piece is just cast on there. Not cast. This is cast, but they make new ones, and you can put a new one on there if you so choose. Price and availability in the video description. Yes, that's right. Duff says we're not keeping this one, so hit us up, mortskerepair@gmail.com if you want to own this thing, because I'm over it. I could say I had one, I got one running. Now it's time for somebody else to own it. But anyway, let's do some prepping and some welding. Your mixing service is sponsored by Modelo. It was established 1 year before this car was built. Now we just got to get our argon and welding wire out here, mix them in equal parts. Man, I haven't done this in a long time, and I'm not ashamed to say that. Hopefully that's enough. You don't want to run out of gas or wire before you get done. Get your Mojo Craft Poor Decision mixing stick at mortske.com. If it wasn't cast iron, I would try welding it, but seeing how it's cast, no way we're welding that. Well, I mean, we could try, but I think that would just make things even worse. JB Weld fixed my Caterpillar block, saved me $8,000. Comment down below what you have fixed with JB Weld, or what you have attempted to fix, and whether it worked or not. I did the whole bottom of a gas tank on a Honda QA50, and to this day it is still holding. Well, I assume it is. We haven't put gas in it in like 15 years. Alright, let's stack them fat beads in there. Oh, this is so shameful. Sorry, Henry Ford and previous owners of this car. I know this isn't going to work, it's not going to seal it up, but maybe it'll just slow it to a trickle. That's how you know if you're a good welder, if you can fill a fat gap with JB Weld. Gross. Why are we doing this? We have zero self-respect for ourselves. Self-respect for ourselves? Just zero self-respect. Well, the good news is the Model T is a non-pressurized cooling system, so it's not gonna have to hold up the pressure. Not much anyway. All right, here goes nothing. We're gonna let that dry overnight. See how it looks in the morning. Oh yeah, just stacking dimes with JB Weld. Keep out of reach of children. Only responsible adults should be JB Welding. Learn some more useless information. They have the date cast into the front axle. And this one was cast 1/21 of 26. You know what 1/21 is, Duff? Huh? If you guessed my birthday, that's right. So this thing was built exactly, well, the axle was cast exactly 59 years before I was born. So it's pretty cool. We share the same, that axle and I share the same birthday. How neat is that?
How neat is that?
Let her set up all night. She looks pretty good even. Shine the old flashlight in there. Didn't see any light coming out, so if it'll hold light, it should hold water. Let's get this radiator thrown back on there, hook up some radiator hoses, and throw some water in it, see what happens. Oh, look at this. I'm pretty proud of this. Even if it doesn't hold water, this is a work of art right here. Up radiator hose, nothing special about that, but check this lower out. Oh yeah, that's real nice. Aluminized, so that's never gonna rot out. We got some new radiator hoses, even some new clamps, and some used ones. You know, we don't discriminate here. But let's throw some coolant in it. See what happens. I'm betting the JB Weld leaks just a little bit, but I'm betting the radiator leaks all over anyway, and for sure the water pump's gonna leak. But let's go ahead and give her a whirl. I'm gonna put a pan on her underneath to catch all our water, you know, because we're saving the environment, Greta. How dare you? Here we go. I definitely don't have the correct adapter for this, but I probably do have a funnel. Just kidding, the funnel's just gonna tip over and make a mess. So here we go. Oh, she's pouring out. Where's it at though? Also, Model Ts don't require a water pump. They use a method called thermosiphon. The more you know. But a lot of guys put water pumps on them anyway. This guy, case in point. Where's it coming out at? What? Off of that connection? Straight out of the cores? Mainly the cores. Looks pretty good down by my stuff, but yeah, it's pouring out of the cores. Anyway, to be expected. We tried. I only got water in the cooling system. We gotta fix this carburetor. We gotta make it run better. I put a new needle and seat in it. We've tried everything. Mojo's torn into it. We've got several hours messing around with this thing. The only thing we could figure is this float has lost some of its flotational properties because water got in there and froze, or it got really cold and closed this thing up. So we got somebody looking for another used float that we can put in there. But we put that thing in a bucket of water and it floats, but then we hook it up to this nurse tank and it still pisses gas everywhere. So we're gonna keep plugging away, but we gotta get that fixed for it to run a lot better. We got a different carburetor on there. We're gonna give her a wolf, see what happens. Crank her by hand even. What? Hey, where do you put your thumb at? Okay. Ready? Yep. Tell you what, we got a total. It works fantastic. Didn't take much talking to her, so it's just waiting into that. Wonder if we aren't out of gas. As much as it's been leaking.
Not leaking.
Right.
It's not leaking.
Yeah. All right, let's try with some gas in it. I suppose it's going to move, just vibrate. Could be a spring or something on it. Don't run too bad for a bunch of junk, huh? Probably put some coolant in it, huh? It's definitely getting some heat in there.
To see how many turns that is open.
Yep.
And we'll know where it is. And then we can just,
Put a piece of wire on it.
yeah,
Put some more seal all.
that would do it too. Yeah.
Works pretty good for not having any compression. And a carburetor that's all glued together. I like seeing how slow they'll go. Oh, I gotta play with the timing. Pretty good, huh, Mojo?
Pretty good.
Sounds like an old Alice Chalmers. I got a fresh rubber fuel line on there. Oh, let's turn that on. Hopefully that leaks less. And some, what'd you call that, 550?
550 cord.
550 cord. Some paracord for a fan belt. And now we got coolant. Come on, Bernie. There we go. And then we got our air fuel wired. Well, there went our belt. It made it about a half a revolution. Yep. It's a good thing it only took you about 5 minutes to make that. No, no comment. All right. Well, what do you want? Which running board do you want?
I'll go the other side. No gas dripping.
Oh, there is no gas dripping. Is that good or bad?
Well, you fixed it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
That didn't take much. Up, down. Well, she's running on her own. Just leaks a little coolant. Parade's gonna take a few gallons. Are you driving, or do you think we're both gonna fit in there?
I'm on the back.
Well, no, we can both. It was a joke. We'll get cozy. What do I do first?
Switch forward on that right pedal.
Left pedal?
Yes. The other right.
The other right. If I let off, it'll stop, right? Slow down. Gotta keep my foot on the whatever it's called.
Low pedal.
You could have cleaned the windshield first.
Okay, let that lever forward. Now slowly come back on your foot.
Well, I would, but it doesn't come back.
Oh. There it's coming.
I'll help it out.
Now we're in high. Now we're in high.
You can really feel the clutch slip with all that horsepower.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh boy. Shaking the wood right out of the wheels.
Yep.
I wasn't even all the way out. Driving a slow car fast is better than driving a fast car slow. Yeah, it runs surprisingly well.
Yep.
Okay, so I want to back up. What do I do?
Stop first. Leave that lever alone.
Okay.
Now just let up on your left foot.
Yeah.
Does that come back? Okay, now push on that one. That's your brake. The right one. That works.
Hey, we got brakes.
Now push only on the middle one.
They don't go very fast in reverse.
No, no. That's planetary, so it's half speed.
And then I just let off that middle one, and you're there.
Yep. So the left pedal all the way forward is low. Then if you let that lever on the side over there pull it back, push it forward.
And that's high.
And then you let the left pedal back, that's high. Pull the lever back, you're in neutral. And then the middle pedal is reverse. And the right pedal is brake. Like I told you yesterday, it's an automatic transmission, but it uses foot pressure instead of oil pressure to engage the bands and the clutch. So,
in a Model T?
Yeah.
You want to ride? And nobody died.
Yep.
There you go. We got a little heat into her. That thing runs way better than it should. Way better than it deserves for a bunch of leftover junk. Well, thanks, Joe.
Yeah, no problem.
Ran when parked. Better turn our fuel off. So what do we do to get this thing running as good as we got it running yesterday? Well, Joe has a 1922 Model T, I believe. It's a touring that he bought in 1975. Got it going in 1978, so he's had her for a few days. But anyway, he had an engine that was in the car before he rebuilt the engine that's now in the car, and he had that running, so he had a leftover Kingston carburetor, so we cleaned that up. We had to use some seal-all to seal up the float because that had burst, but anyway, we used his Kingston carburetor to get that thing running and a little bit of his expertise on playing with timing and whatnot. She's running great. So big shout out to Joe for helping us out. Now, we're gonna give this thing a bath. Not a full-on bath. I just gotta clean the bugs off the windshield because it's hard to see at speed. So many mosquitoes. I'm not excited for fall, but I am excited for the death of the mosquitoes. Looking way gooder. We'll be able to cook in high range now, really haul the mail. See if we can get this thing to start by cranking over by hand. For no other reason than to say I did it. Park brakes on, coils hooked up, fuel's on. Fuel's running everywhere. Oh, did our float sink? Great. Well, it appears as the float has decided to no longer float. Apparently our seal-all only sealed for a little while. And now today, the float is sunk and it's dumping fuel all over, so we gotta get a float. But that sucks, because I was having fun driving this thing yesterday. I want to drive it again. Maybe it'll go. This isn't any fun. We're gonna have to get Bernie. we tried getting it running. This thing, the float sank, and it just does not run good when the float's sinking. We got fuel running all over, and we got water running all over. Long story short, we got to find a float for this thing, and then it'll run just as good as it did yesterday, so it should be a pretty easy fix. But unfortunately, we are out of time, and somebody's going to get hurt pulling this thing around with a rope and doing things. And so I've had my fun with a Model T. Please come buy this thing. We're going to order a float. They're $31. We're going to get one from Lang's. We got some replacement valves that'll go with it. We got some other used valves that some other subscribers sent us. We got the coils working. We had a lot of fun with a Model T, and now it is time for somebody else to own this Model T. Price and availability in the video description. That's right. I paid $1,000 for this thing. I hauled it all the way across the state. I got it running, and you know what I want for it? $1,000. Just get this thing out of my life. We went and looked on Facebook Marketplace yesterday, and there is a fully refurbished version of this. Nice interior, runs, drives, everything, great paint. $8,000. So these things, and that's been listed for 20 some days. So these things are super affordable. I saw a really nice T coupe that wasn't running but ran not that long ago for $3,500. The people that are buying these things, or the people that own them, are unfortunately less and less every day, and I will rather drive my Model A coupe than I don't ever drive. Compared to this thing, it's like a Cadillac. There's so many luxuries like electric start. But anyway, you're gonna need a radiator, you're gonna need a belt. I would put the electric start stuff on it. It needs tires, it needs interior, it needs a lot of things, but it would be a cool car to just putt around your property, or maybe fix a few things and take it into some parades. Like I said, once that float shows up, I'm gonna put it on there, and this thing will be running and driving. It'll be pretty cool. Maybe we'll putt around the yard of it, because Chin didn't get to experience the ride and drive that we did with Joe and Mojo. Mojo was excited. He got to ride in a Model T for the first time ever, so he even said thanks for that. So thank you guys very much for watching. Go check out the merch. Go to mortske.com. We got t-shirts, sweatshirts, ball caps, banners, magnetic koozies, magnetic screwdrivers, decals, super scrapers. I think we still got a few in stock, so go check them out at mortske.com. Remember, it doesn't matter, get it done as long as you're having fun. Model Ts are fun, and the best day of owning a Model T is the day you sell it, so come get this thing out of my yard. You ever work on a Model T?
No.
No? I got an actual answer from you? No. You know what these are?
Coil pack.
Coils.
Coil.
Look at it. Look at this. Spark on number one. See it jumping there? Don't get too close. It'll nip you. If you grab it, you'll know. And then I'll go to number two. Just a set of contacts and their points. And then I'll go to 4. I had to put a new condenser on that one. There's number 3. It's pretty neat, huh?
They're neat. Each individual ones don't have to have a condenser.
So the condensers are inside the box.
Okay.
And the condenser was bad in that one. So I just put an external one, because otherwise you got to take the box, you take the nails out, take the box apart, and there's a bunch of tar in there, and you got to take the tar out, and you got to put the right condenser in there. So yeah, they all got a condenser, but this one's just external, because I worked on it. I'm sure you were eyeballing this over here, weren't you?
Yes, I was. But
So you slide your coil in there, and you can watch you can open that up. Woo! Too far. It's jumping over here now. It's a pretty good spark, don't you think? Yeah. And then you can set your champion spark plug in there. And you can test your single pole and double pole light bulbs as well. You don't have one of these at home?
no. You can put any spark plug in there. The newer style spark plug,
I don't see why you couldn't.
put in there.
Can't believe you ain't got one of them.
I had one. One that you.
Oh, a spark plug tester.
Yeah.
Not for testing these T coils.
No. Yeah, that's kind of neat.